Hey everyone, this is the Spoon Dude back with another DC Comics custom action figure. This one is going to be more of a unique custom as it's a Mezco 112 Collective Batman figure. Specifically, I customized the Ascending Knight Batman from the 112 Collective line and pretty much just replaced his entire suit. The reason I made this custom, I had gotten the Mezco 112 Collective Christopher Reeve Superman, and I really like this figure. I love his suit. I love that it's just like a pure classic Superman. It's not, overly designed. It's not overly detailed. And I know that's just because that's the Christopher Reeve Superman suit, not really like a choice Mezco did. But I really like the look of it, and I wanted a Batman that was sort of more in this style. I do have two Mezco Batman figures before this one. I have the Batman v Superman one, and I have the Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns one is more in this style with just sort of the simple, kind of tight spandex kind of look with the underwear on the outside, but of course that's a Dark Knight Returns Batman, so it doesn't really match the Superman. And then the BVS one is based off the DCEU version with all this sort of extra detailing on the suit, so it doesn't really match this Superman. Matching the Superman, that kind of got away from me a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily say these match perfectly, but you can see how in the suits they do align better than the original suit did on this Batman. I got the Ascending Knight Batman specifically. If you don't know, Mezco made several Batman figures of different sort of versions. I went with this Ascending Knight version because his costume, the original costume that came on this figure, I thought was really ugly. So I figured if I got this figure, I wouldn't feel as bad about pretty much destroying the original suit. Whereas some of the other Batman suits actually look fairly okay, and I would have felt kind of bad ruining them, even if I was replacing them for sort of the look I wanted. But for this one, his original suit was awful. So here it is. I still have it. Here's the Bat logo, so it's more complete. Like, technically speaking, it's well made. Like, the material is nice, and, there's a lot of detail on it. But I just didn't, I didn't like the design personally, I felt it was a little bit overly designed without a lot of purpose. Like, you have this big, what feels like a vinyl sort of overlay on it. And I don't really know the point of that section or these lines or anything. It just seemed like too much for me. And again, I wanted the more classic look. Taking it off the figure was kind of tricky because it's, it's held on where the boots are and where the gloves is and the head is, and it's all tightly stitched together. So I got some boiling hot water. I dipped the figure in it to get the boots off and to get the hands off and the wrist cuffs off and to get the cowl off. The wrists were no problem, but the cowl and the boots were actually quite tricky to get off. I ended up having to cut the pegs that they were, pegged onto the figure, and then just having to glue them back once I put the new suit on. So yeah, it was really hard getting the boots off, really hard getting the cowl off, but I ended up making it work. And then, as for the new costume, I did not make the new costume. These are all from GPSlot on eBay. I got a gray bodysuit. I think it was labeled as sort of like a Punisher gray bodysuit. I got the faux leather trunks for the Mezco Batman from GPSlot. And then I got the cape from GPSlot as well. It's a wired cape. I think he's got several on the store. But I got the one that sort of had a bigger wingspan, I think is, I don't know the distinction there. So I really like the wired cape, actually. Camera's doing really weird things. But yeah, there's the cape. It's really nice. And it has wires, so I wanted to replace the cape. The one he came with originally was nice, but it didn't have the wires. It's made of a similar sort of, pleathery, plasticky kind of material on the outside to get sort of that Batman cape look. Before I could get the shirt on the figure, I had to give it a logo. It originally just comes as just sort of a blank gray shirt. So this is a heat transfer vinyl, a black heat transfer vinyl that I actually bought a whole roll of, and I actually had to cut the shape out and then use an iron to apply it to the shirt before I put it on the figure. I kind of did a sloppy job. I don't know if you can tell from this far, but if I bring it closer and zoom in, you can see there are some sort of white edges to it, and the cutting was also not as clean as it should have been. I didn't notice until it was already on the figure that I didn't fully cut that curve as clean as I should. So you can see that sort of string of black just kind of right there. And even here it's a little bit sloppy. So yeah, this was pretty much my first attempt at doing a heat transfer vinyl logo on a suit. So I definitely could have done better. From afar, it's not as noticeable. So yeah, I thought about just using the logo that came with the original figure. He still has the peg holes on his torso, and I could have just poked holes into the suit itself. But you know, I really wanted to do the flatter kind of vinyl logo. Again, I was very much inspired by the Superman figure, and he has that flat vinyl logo, so I wanted to do that on the Batman figure as well. If you're a Batman fan, you'll realize that this Ascending Knight Batman is a lot more inspired by sort of the first appearance kind of Golden Age design. The Bill Finger Batman, if you will. He has the shorter gloves. He has the big belt with the round kind of, what do you call that? Buckle. With the round, with the rounder belt buckle. And of course the longer bat ears that kind of flare out a little bit more than sort of a traditional Batman. In his first appearance, he had a logo that didn't have the bat ears. So that's another reason for me making the logo instead of just using the one that came with the figure. I thought about making this figure even closer to those first appearance comics. Of course, infamously, he had purple gloves and also had some blue highlights on the black, like similar to like the Batman animated series, I guess. I did want to get a cape that was blue on the inside and black on the outside, but it didn't really work out. And I really like this cape from GPSlot, so I ended up just going with this one. And then as for the purple gloves, I really thought about doing it because it's such a funny detail of those original Batman comics, but I still wanted to use all the extra hands with the Mezco figure, and I didn't want to be bothered painting all those hands. Not to mention the joint. I didn't want to have to paint the joint, so I didn't end up doing that. I really like the color scheme as well of just having the black and gray and the gold for the belt. There is some little issues besides the logo being kind of sloppy. I have found that there are some little runs on the shirt, and I think they're my fault. Maybe I haven't been handling him as carefully as I should have. I don't know if you can see that. There's some little like threads that have been kind of pulled. I did not come like that, so I'm guessing I was too rough on it, maybe from articulating it too much, or just not handling it well. So that's probably my bad. I should have been more careful. And you will notice the suit is a little bit baggy. You can see that especially in the knees. Like I said, the suit was for a Punisher figure, the Mezco Punisher, I think. I did think about shortening the pants so that I could have stretched them on the legs more. But I actually really like that it's baggy, because that means I don't really have to worry about the suit when I'm articulating the figure, because it being so baggy leaves enough room for the articulation to move around without sort of stretching the suit too far and risking it, you know, tearing and stuff. So I actually like the bagginess, and it's not too baggy that I think it looks bad. So yeah, I did have to tape the shirt underneath all this. There's actually some tape underneath the shirt right there, and I think you can see it on the back. Yeah, you can see I used some double-sided tape to keep this shirt down, because otherwise it did have a tendency to sort of pull up. And you will notice the belt is still sort of a floating piece that doesn't always sit where I would want it to. That's because the faux leather trunks from GPSlot, I found they're a little bit short. I think they were made for the Sovereign Knight Batman, and he might have a bigger belt, I don't know. But That did mean the belt had to sit lower than it did. I think it was like around here on the original figure. So I did have to cut the peg off the belt, and then I moved the pocket a little bit, you know, farther on that edge. Why is it so bright? Yeah, sorry about that. But you can see that the pocket, I moved it a little bit further so that the belt could be a little bit wider. And it's still not sitting as low as I want. You can see that gap right there, but in the front, it's not as bad. I could undo that again and find a way to extend the belt even more, but I think I'm kind of okay with this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's weird that I've gone on this long about this figure when it's pretty much just a suit swap. I really like the overall look of this figure, and I'm really glad that I took off the original suit, and I now have a Mezco Batman in the style that I want. And all the, you know, parts that came with the original figure, like the boots and the gloves and the hands and the belt and the head, are all really nice. I had no problems with those, which is why I wanted to use a Mezco Batman. I could have probably just used the suit and trunks and, you know, cape and put it on a Marvel Legends figure and tried to do that, but I don't know, I liked just using the Mezco figure. It was already built to have a cloth costume on it. There's a figure. I really like it. I hope you guys like it too. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and leave a like on the video. Do all that. Subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, I hope to see you on my next video. Thanks for watching.